Imagine waking up to find your life savings worthless. A loaf of bread costs billions, and wheelbarrows replace wallets. This isn't science fiction. It's hyperinflation, an economic monster that has ravaged many nations throughout history. Defined as inflation exceeding 50% per month, hyperinflation turns money into confetti and societies into chaos engines. Today, we'll explore what leads to it, how it spirals out of control, its devastating consequences, and every major real-world example since 1900. Buckle up. This is a wild ride through economic history, and it is not as uncommon an occurrence as you may think. Section 1. What leads up to hyperinflation? Hyperinflation doesn't strike randomly. It's brewed from a toxic mix of poor decisions and bad luck. The main culprit? Excessive money supply growth. Governments facing massive budget deficits from wars, debts, or crises start printing money like there's no tomorrow. Instead of raising taxes or cutting spending, this floods the economy with cash, but without more goods to buy, prices start climbing. This is the Cantillon effect, where those closest to the money printer benefit, while the rest pay dearly through inflation. Add in demand pull inflation, where demand outstrips supply and things heat up fast. Then comes the killer of economies, loss of confidence. Political instability, corruption, or foreign debts erode trust in the fiat currency. People dump it for what they perceive to be more stable alternatives like gold or dollars, accelerating the devaluation. External shocks seal the deal. Wars destroy factories, sanctions cut off trade, or commodity crashes like oil prices slash revenues. Think of it as a house of cards. Economic depression, high debt, and governance failures stack up until it all collapses. Once triggered, hyperinflation becomes a self-feeding beast. First, the government prints money to cover shortfalls. Then, more money chases the same goods, pushing prices up. Then, workers demand higher wages, businesses hike costs, and the government needs even more cash, leading to faster printing. This spirals wildly. Prices can double daily or hourly. People spend immediately to avoid value loss. Hoarding goods or bartering. Foreign currencies take over, and the local economy grinds to a halt. Gray and black markets take shape. Without reforms like a new currency or austerity, it's total breakdown. Section 3. Consequences of hyperinflation. The fallout is brutal. Savings vanish overnight, plunging families into poverty. Businesses collapse under unpredictable costs. Investments dry up, and unemployment explodes. Trade halts as the fiat currency tanks. Socially, it's chaos. Food shortages spark riots, crime surges, and millions migrate. Governments topple, sometimes birthing dictators. Recovery demands harsh medicine. But the trauma lingers for generations, widening inequality and eroding trust. Section 4. Historical examples. Let's dive into every major example since 1900. 1921 to 1922. Austria. World War I left it with huge reparations payments and severe shortages. Money printing led to over 100% monthly inflation. International loans and a new fiat currency eventually stabilized it. 1923 to 1924. Poland. Border wars and reconstruction needs caused excessive zloty printing. 1921 to 1924. Soviet Union. Civil war and communism destroyed production. Printing rubles caused prices to rise billions-fold. Famines killed millions. 1921 to 1923. Weimar Republic, Germany. Crushed by World War I reparation payments, the government printed marks like crazy. By late 1923, $1 bought trillions of marks. Wheelbarrows of cash barely bought groceries. Savings wiped out. 1943 to 1944. Greece. During Nazi occupation in World War II, Greece faced exploitation through forced loans and resource extraction, combined with Allied blockades that caused famines and supply shortages. The government and occupiers printed drachmas excessively, leading to almost 14,000% annual hyperinflation. Prices doubled every 4.3 days. Over 300,000 died from starvation. A civil war followed and devastated the country even further. 1945 to 1946. Hungary. Post-World War II. Devastation. The worst ever. 41.9 quadrillion % monthly. Prices doubled every 15 hours. The pengo was replaced by the forint and a full communist takeover. 1948 to 1949. China. Civil war chaos led to massive printing. Prices rose billions-fold before the communists even took over. 1984 to 1985. Bolivia. A debt crisis, falling tin prices, a key export, and political instability after military coups led to huge fiscal deficits. The government printed pesos to pay debts and subsidies, sparking hyperinflation that hit 60,000% annualized by mid-1985. Prices doubled every few weeks. 1987 to 1990. Nicaragua. Civil war and embargoes led to 30,000% annual inflation. 1988 to 1990, Peru, price controls and insurgency caused over 7,500% annual inflation. 1989 to 1990, Argentina, populist spending and debt defaults pushed 12,000% annual inflation. 1992 to 1994, the breakup of Yugoslavia amid ethnic wars and UN sanctions isolated the economy, now Serbia and Montenegro, slashing exports and revenues. This caused so much dinar printing that inflation hit 313 million% monthly. Prices doubled every 1.4 days. In the 1990s, Angola and Bulgaria also saw severe episodes tied to oil shocks and post-communist transitions. 2007 to 2009, Zimbabwe. Printing funded deficits, peaking at 79.6 billion% monthly. Trillion-dollar notes, worthless. From 2016 and still ongoing, Venezuela. Oil crashes and sanctions forced printing. Over 1 million% in 2018 alone. 75% GDP shrink, mass exodus, and partial dollarization as a desperate survival mechanism. Over 70 cases since 1900 show one truth: avoid fiscal discipline, pay dearly later. Hyperinflation teaches us one simple truth: sound money matters. It stems from mismanagement by the political class, but always totally devastates the most vulnerable in society. In our ever more interconnected world, vigilance against deficits and instability is key. This trip down financial history shows clearly that we need decentralized money nobody can just print at will, to avoid repeating the mistakes of the past. Isn't it time you learned more about Bitcoin?